Hey, happy day 586 of What's She Up To Now. She, being Sharon Horne-Ellstrom, also known as Pajama Grandma, in my cozy red robe today. Stormy and thunderstormy and big thunder, lightning, wind, straight line winds, terrible weather last night. And of course, I just went to bed. I just went to sleep and slept right through it. I haven't looked to see if there's any trees down yet. It's not really light out yet. Sun will be coming up in, I suppose, half an hour or so. But I want to talk about ignorance today. Now, thinking about ignorance, because I did ignorance is bliss as my supersize your business idiom of the day. Most people have a word of the day. I guess today is day 186. So for the last 186 days, I've picked an idiom or an expression that's really well ingrained in our thinking and in our lives, and share the origin and the meaning of that and how that impacts our ability and our challenge of growing our businesses. Because most of the people I deal with and work with they've already got a business, they're struggling, they're hung up in some shape or form or some place, and they're not really sure what's holding them up usually or what to do next. And so I help them with both those things. I help them identify, okay, what is the next thing we need to do? What's stalling our growth, or what's just, we get hung up on stuff. And a lot of what we get hung up on is because of ignorance. It's because we don't know what we don't know. So the whole ignorance is bliss was the topic today. And there's things that I choose to be ignorant about. I choose not to watch the news and media. I choose to be ignorant about the everyday feeding my brain of negativity. And I think that's probably a pretty wise choice, but that's, of course, just my opinion. Ignorance is bliss in terms of, for me personally, the fear of missing out of events and things. There is so much information and so many opportunities and so many things we could be doing with our time these days that, to me, I have to narrow my scope and narrow my focus and cut out a lot of the noise and a lot of the things that I would like to do for the things that I need to do and want to do and love to do, and set my priorities so that I am not overwhelmed, because it's easy to get overwhelmed these days in anything. There are so many demands on our time and on our lives that if we don't set priorities, if we don't decide what's important for us, it's pretty easy to give ourselves a stressed out sudden cardiac arrest or a nervous breakdown or something. So it's important to be ignorant and choose to be ignorant, which means blocking out. To me, you don't have to be ignorant to block things out, but we have to block things out and set priorities in our life in order to handle all of the things that are thrown at us every single day in our personal lives as well as in our business lives. I didn't always do a great job of that when I was younger, trying to balance everything, my marriage, my kids, my business and work relationships, running my business and my different businesses. And I personally determined and figured out what my threshold was. And I don't recommend that anybody do that. I recommend that you find not balance, but sort of balanced ways of living along your entire journey without having to have a cold, hard, dead stop in the middle of your journey. Because I did that, and although it totally changed the trajectory of my life and the way I was going, it is not the best way to do those things. It's better to make a conscious choice to set priorities and know what's important for you than to have it decided for you because you might not be here anymore. So ignorance is bliss. I actually had never given this much thought. I'd never really thought about this expression until today when I was getting ready for my Supersize Your Business video. But the more I think about it, the more powerful I think it is, because like anything else, there's different sides and different aspects to the saying. It's a saying that's been around since 400 AD. Sophocles used it originally. And I mean, any expression that's been around with humanity that long obviously is well grained into our subconscious and our psyche and our beings. And so there's this overall belief that, bad news can wait. Well, yeah, bad news can sometimes wait, and sometimes it's totally appropriate. But other times, we need to know what's going on. I think that there's a difference between being informed and understanding the big picture of what's going on and being blissfully ignorant and just, going about our life as if nothing phases us. Now, it's up to us whether things phase us or not, right? We get to decide and choose how we're going to react to absolutely everything that happens around us, outside of us. We might not have control over the things that happen around us, but we always have control of our reaction to it. Now, does that mean we always react in the way that we want? Well, heck no. We're humans, so we're going to overreact. We're going to underreact. We're going to go on a dramatic rampage every once in a while, but that's part of being human as well. So ignorance is bliss. I personally choose ignorance in quite a few situations. I choose to not watch the news or participate in things, being inundated with information and things that I have no control or I don't really care or have a desire to control about. The world news and world events. I hear enough of them without having to get them repeated and play by play in my brain, once a day, or God forbid, 10 times a day should I watch the news. I was at the nail salon yesterday with my daughter, and the news was on in the salon. And, after about 5 minutes, I was like, because it was all these atrocities and terrible things that had happened during the day, which I know that's what the news is, but I haven't watched it since the 80s. So it was just really, I was like, and I found myself commenting on it to my daughter. And I'm like, do you see, this is why I do not watch the news. Because now I'm not thinking about what I want to think about. I am thinking about what the news is programming me to think about. And now, whatever my brain would have been thinking about otherwise, it wasn't, because it was sucked into the thought process and the manipulation and the agenda of whoever's creating the news for whatever reason. And it definitely is not my agenda. So I got my 5 minutes of news for the next, 6 months, and that's all I need with respect to it being delivered to me in that format. That format does not work for me. I do not need to be fed the same information over and over again every 10 minutes. Sometimes it's less than 10 minutes. Sometimes it's every 5 minutes where they're popping onto a negative story that, number one, I have personally no vested interest in. I have no impact in that. I have no way to affect that personally at this point in my life. And so why do I want to be feeding myself that information over and over and over again? I choose not to. So it's up to each one of us to decide what does and does not work for us. But for me, I learned a long time ago, watching the news does not make me feel good. And anything that doesn't make me feel good isn't for me, and I shouldn't participate in. That is always a really good rule of thumb for each one of us individually. If something makes you feel uncomfortable or icky or guilty or doubtful or worryful or fearful, guess what? You're feeling that way for a reason. It's telling you, your intuition, your guidance, your internal guidance, whatever you call it, your gut is telling you, this is not right for you. So stop doing it. Get away from it. Run away. That's why we have that. We all have this little internal gut check system that guides us, if we listen to it, to determine what is good for us and what isn't good for us. But so often there's so much noise in the world nowadays. It's very, very hard to tap into that, to pay attention to it, and to ask yourself, well, geez, how does that make me feel? If it makes me feel good, it's for me. If it makes me feel bad, it's not for me. And I have to remind myself every single day of that, to pay attention to it. It's why I do that little happy everyday piece, from a little journal book. I've got this little journal book, and every day I do a video on, and for myself as much as for anybody else, something every day that makes me happy. It's just a little book I got at the cabin. And it helps to remind me to do things that feel good, to do things that make me happy, to focus on being happy instead of whatever I'm served up from the rest of the world. Because the world serves us up all kinds of things that we need to see. Sometimes there's things that we don't need to see. And ignorance is indeed bliss. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the world that makes us feel bad and is not for us. And therefore we don't need to see it. And those things we can be ignorant about. Other things it's important to not be ignorant about. It's important to know what's going on in our relationships with the people we love and care about. It's important to know, and that we're feeding and being a positive part of those relationships. It's important to know what's going on in our work environment, whether we own our own businesses or we work for someone else. We need to have a clue what's going on and how we're impacting and affecting other people, because we can affect other people in a positive way and affect other people in a negative way. And we get to choose part of that. Now, we're only part of that equation. Remember, relationships, it takes two people both choosing to make a relationship work. And if one or the other can't choose it for both of you. I know that I've got a friend that teaches couples how to do that, but if one chooses to go another direction that doesn't match your core values, there's nothing you can do about it. That is their choice, their decision, their life, and you have to just figure out how you're going to respond to that. But in our businesses and work relationships, we have to know if you're a business owner or an employee, these same things apply. We all have, whether we're an employee or a business owner or an entrepreneur, we all have customers. If we work in a business, say I work in a business and I'm in the purchasing department. Well, I have customers. My customers are all of the other departments that I am doing the purchasing for. My suppliers are all of the vendors and people that I am buying products and services for my company from. But everybody that gets those products and services in my organization are my customer, and I need to make sure that I'm meeting their needs and serving them well. So we need to know what our customers are doing and how they're thinking and how they're feeling. And again, each of us, no matter what we're doing, we have customers. I guess as a mom, my kids are my customers, and I need to make sure that they're happy and satisfied and getting their needs met. If you're in a relationship, your significant other is kind of like your customer. You need to make sure that they're getting, all of their basic needs met, and, some of their not so basic needs met. So this applies to everything and everybody. And if we don't have a clue of what's going on with them, then ignorance probably isn't bliss, because if people aren't getting their needs met and their desires met, they find a way to get them met. We all find a way to get our needs met no matter what. So, I think of social media and our reputation. If we are ignorant to that, we can get in a lot of trouble, whether we participate in social media or not. Whether you participate in, I have a sister that doesn't watch Facebook at all because it just makes her feel bad. And I think that she's absolutely right for her to not participate in it at all, because anything that makes us feel bad is not right for us, right? Me, on the other hand, I participate in Facebook. I participate in social media. And I have to have some inkling of how other people see me in social media. Not that I'm going to change who I am, because I am who I am. That's how it works. But knowing that some people will love you, some people will hate you, and it doesn't matter. There's always going to be people that like you and people that don't like you. That is, we're not everybody's cup of tea. No one is. Nobody is loved universally. No one is hated universally. But there's a lot of people that are on one side or the other. Think president, whoever the president is. You could say President Trump, but it doesn't matter, because whoever the president is at the time, there's people that love them, there's people that hate them. And there's a lot of rhetoric on either side, right? It doesn't matter which president, because every president since I've been alive, the same exact thing has happened. The same is true of each and every one of us. We have people that love us and people that hate us, and it doesn't really matter, because it only matters what we really think and how we feel about ourselves and how we're showing up in the world. So, what am I working on? One Funnel Away Challenge. I think today is day 16. And I know we're talking about the origin story because I remember this. I remember this is actually week 2, mission 1, day 1. They've got a Mission Impossible theme. It's week 2, day 2. Yesterday was a holiday, but they still had a mission because it's all on autopilot now. It's all evergreen and being repeated. So mission 2, I recall, because this is, I think, my 3rd or 4th time through it with groups, is the origin story. So we're all about, yesterday was pick a publishing platform. Well, some of us have been publishing for a while. I guess today's day 586. So, and this was not the first publishing I did, but this is currently my longest running consecutive segment that I'm doing is, just documenting my journey of what I'm up to as I transition from brick and mortar to the online world of business. So we're talking about our origin stories today. So I will probably hop on Facebook Live and share my origin story again. And I'm not sure where I will start. Because remember, when we're telling stories, we start with the story that makes sense. I mean, you don't go to a movie, and every movie or every book doesn't start from the beginning of someone's life. It starts at the most important point to the story that's being told, or to the story or the book or the movie that's being told. And so I'll pick an origin story that's appropriate for the products and services that I'm presenting through this challenge. And it's going to be the Women's Summit, the interview. I don't know I haven't decided on my lead magnet yet. I keep changing my mind. But then I'm going to do the Women's Summit followed by a challenge. So the Women's Summit will be on my sales page, and then the upsell will be to a challenge, a customer challenge. So today I'll be doing my origin story for that. Hanging out with my amazing 4-year-old granddaughter. I haven't seen her for like 10 days. They were on vacation. They went to Glacier National Park and to Yellowstone and to all kinds of fun places. Camping, but the weather wasn't very good for camping. So I think I'm excited to hear what she has to say about it, because little girls are so fun. I had a boy and a girl, and it's fun because there's such a night and day between how much they communicate and how much they share. And so I was really glad I had one of each, but it's really fun hanging out with my granddaughter and getting her energy and her perspective on everything, because it's just a whole different way of looking at the world. And sometimes, especially as we get older and our grandmas, we want a different perspective and a different way of looking at the world, because it just re-energizes us and recharges our batteries and reminds us that there's so many other possibilities in the world, that what we see, what we narrow down in our focus, and what we're able to see is just such a tiny sliver of what's possible. So working on that, working on the project and the products for that, and really getting excited to get back into, as she goes to school, having some more time every day that I can go back into really full-fledged, going full bore on the things and the projects and the things that I dream about working on and want to work on, and the way I want to show up in the world. So that is about it. If I can help you in any way, shape, or form, I've got a couple of people I need to follow up with from yesterday, because I was getting my nails done and shopping with my daughter and doing some things that I don't usually do because it was a holiday. And every once in a while I like to mix up my routine and do something fun. So if I can help you in any way, go ahead, hit me up in the comments below. Just direct message me. I'm not hard to find. You know, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom, Pajama Grandmas. You can find me on most platforms, and just message me. If you message me, I'll get notified, and then I will know to get back to you. And I can, help you out, or if I don't know the answer, I will send you in the right direction, because I might not know the answer, but I guarantee I know somebody that does. That's it. Have an amazing day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow to share more of what's working, what's not, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what I'm up to. All right, take care. Bye. Catch you tomorrow.